Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and in this video I will be explaining chess basics. Let's start off with the board. The board is an 8x8 board and it has 64 squares. The board is divided into columns and rows. I will show you the columns first. The A column, the B column, the C column, the D column, the E column, the F column, the G column, and the H column. Now let's go to the rows. The rows are numbers instead of letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if you want to find the square, so let's go with this square, right? Now, if you want to find where is this square? Well, we can do this. So first, let's look on the columns. Remember, the columns are letters. This is the A column that goes here. We're looking at this square, so that won't work. The B column goes here. We're looking at this square, so that still won't work. The C column go here. We're looking at this square, not that one, so that won't work too. This one goes here. That won't work. But this one, look, it makes it. So that means, what is this? E. It's the E column. Now let's look at the rows. Well, let's start with the numbers. So we were looking at this, right? We know it was on E, so let's start here. 1, nope, because it's up here. 2, nope, because it's up there. 3, nope, it's up there. 4, yes. So, if you combine the letter and the number together, we get E4. That's how you find where the square is. Now let's go on to the pieces. Starting with these things in the front. These are called pawns. Pawns are always in the front. That's how the setup goes. Alright, let's go to the things in the corners. These castle things. They are called rooks. They are always in the corners in the setup. Now let's go to these horses. Well, the horses are called the knights. They are always next to the rooks. Now let's go to this thing called a bishop. The bishop is next to the knights. Now, let's go to the king. The king is always next to a bishop and a queen. Now, let's go to the queen. Queen is always next to the king and the bishop. Alright, now, let's go on to minor and major pieces. So, minor pieces are the least important pieces. Major pieces are the most important pieces. So let's review what are the minor pieces. Well, let's start with the pawns. The pawns are minor pieces. Now let's think. What else is a minor piece? Well, the knights are minor pieces too. And the bishops are minor pieces. Now we go to the major pieces. The major pieces are the most important. Alright, let's start with the least important major piece. The rooks. The rooks are a major piece. Then let's go to the queens. The queens are also a major piece. And the kings. The kings are the most important major piece. Alright, now let's review how these pieces move? Well, let's start off with the pawn. Let's take this pawn. Well, normally, a pawn can only move one square forward. But on the starting move, if the pawn hasn't moved yet, then the pawn can move 2 spaces. So let's try it out. Same thing applies for black. And now, if we were to play another pawn here, and black chose to play another pawn here, now you can see the pawn cannot move 2 squares further now. It can only move 1 square further. Alright, now let's review how the bishop moves. The bishop goes in diagonals. And you see that there are 2 bishops. One is on a white square, and one is on a black square. Well, they only move on their colors. The white square bishop will move on the white squares. The dark square bishop will move on the dark squares. Alright, now let's go to knights. Knights can move in L shapes like this. And they are the only pieces that have the ability to jump over other pieces. Alright, now let's go to the rooks. The rooks go sideways in either direction, forwards and backwards. Now let's go to the king. The king can move in any direction as he wishes, but he can only go 1 square at a time. Alright, now the queen. Queen, like the king, can move in any direction she wants, but the queen can go as far as she wishes. Alright, now let's review the concept of captures. Let's start off with the pawn. Pawn here, and black plays pawn here. Well, for pawns, there's an extremely special rule. And if a pawn can capture something like this, then it can go diagonal. So, we can go diagonal. But that's only a rule with pawns. Other things cannot change the way they go. It's a special rule for pawns. Alright, now let's show an example with a different piece. Maybe if we move our knight out, and they go here. So now, the knight goes in an L shape. So, it can take the pawn. Taking the pawn means removing it from the board. And in doing so, they lose something. Alright, now let's go. Check. So, let's just say we played up here, and black played up here. Well, there's an important concept called check. Check is when a piece attacks the king. So, let's try it out. We have a check here. Can you find it? Alright, let's show the check. The check is queen here, in the diagonal, and the queen is attacking the king. Now, there are 3 ways to avoid check. 1 is to block, so like this. 2 is to move the king, which we cannot do here. And 3 is to take the attacker, which we cannot do here either. So the only option here is to block. Alright, let's go on to checkmate. Checkmate is the goal of the game. That is what you want to achieve in a chess game. Let's review checkmate. So let's say we go here. Black goes here. Play bishop out here. Black goes here. We play queen out here. And black goes here. For checkmate, it is game over because the king cannot move. But if the king can get out of it, that means it's only a check, not checkmate. Alright, well, remember the 3 ways the king can get out of check? 1 is to take the attacking piece. 2 is to block. And 3 is to move out of danger. We don't want our bishop or our queen to be gone, right? So let's find a pawn that both they can look at. Well, the bishop goes in diagonals, and it sees only 1 pawn. The queen, if you remember, goes in any direction she wishes and can see 3 pawns. Which pawn do they both see? They both see this pawn called F7 pawn. So if we take it, checkmate. The king cannot move, you cannot block, you cannot take the attacker. So that's why it is checkmate. Thank you all for watching. If you have any feedback or comments, you can contact me at acabra on Lichess. Thank you for watching.